In a previous video, we explored range while taking resistance measurements, and I wanted to revisit that and kind of show you another angle on how that works. And I want to do so because range is so critically important when you're taking measurements, and we really need to understand it. My name is Mitch Hagman. And we have pretty much the same setup I had in the previous video we shot regarding range and resolution. I have 4 different resistors in front of me. I have a Fluke 117 meter, and I have some notes that I'll be reading to you. And if you look at this, you can see I've got the 47 ohm resistor here, a 150 ohm resistor here, a 10K or 10,000 ohm resistor here, and then a 100K or a 100,000 ohm resistor here. And I previously took measurements, and we discovered that this one was 46.6 ohms, this was 147.2, this was 907, or excuse me, 9,700 ohms, and the last one was actually 98,800. They were not at the rated value, and that'll matter to us when we start taking some measurements. So now let me read a couple of notes, and then I'm going to go off screen and we'll take some measurements, and we'll show you exactly why knowing what you're going to measure and understanding your range setting is so critically important. So my very first note is, what is range? Range represents the highest and lowest values a digital multimeter or any test instrument can display at a given measurement setting. And then the Fluke 17 has 6 different ohm range settings on its profile, and we'll go through those in a moment. We'll talk about that. I will tell you this, the lowest range setting is 600 ohms, meaning that the very top ceiling is 600 ohms, and if you go above 600 ohms, where you have it set manually on the 600 ohm setting, you will not see a measurement, and we'll prove that here in a moment. And then also, this is an auto ranging meter, meaning it will be able to measure any of these because all of these are within its profile. It has a measurement mode that will capture all of those. So if you go in auto range, it's not a problem. It's when you go into manual range settings where you will discover you have issues, and that's exactly what we'll be doing here in a moment. And I have as a note 4, when manually selecting a range, you are choosing a single range, and you're firmly choosing the decimal point placement for your measurement. And that's exactly what we'll do, and I'll show you how that decimal point migrates and changes the way the measurement looks to you, and it can be problematic if you don't understand what you're doing. And then note 5, higher range sections push the decimal to the left and place the measurement deeper into the resolution values behind the decimal point. And you'll see exactly how that works. Range selections that are too low place the measurement entirely out of range, and the digital multimeter won't even see them. So I'm going to go off screen, we'll tighten up our shot, and I'll show you exactly what I was just talking about. Okay, we've tightened up our shot here a little bit. I am off screen, and the very first thing I want to do is mention what we have on board as far as ranges. And so this Fluke 117, it has a 600 ohm measurement range. It has a 6 kilo ohm, that's 6,000 ohm range. It has a 60 kilo ohm range, a 600 kilo ohm range, and then a 6 mega ohm, which means million, 6 mega ohm range, and also a 40 mega ohm range. And what's interesting about that, the meter display calls that a 60 mega ohm range, but the specs say it's good for 40 ohms, so I'm assuming that is what it's good for. And what we're going to do today is purposely select range and then go through the measurements all the way through all the ranges on the 47 ohm and the 100K to show you what happens and how you can push the reading where it makes no sense, or you can push it completely out of range just by selecting the wrong mode. And looking at the meter, you can see I have the black lead in the common port, and I have the red lead in the volt ohm port. And I mentioned previously, this is not polarity sensitive. It does not matter where the leads go on the resistor. They're not polarity sensitive at all. And when you first turn the meter on, we'll go to ohms here, and you'll see it shows OL, meaning it's not getting a measurement. It's infinity, you're not getting a measurement. And you always test the function of the meter before doing any measurements. So I do that, and it shows me 0.1 ohms, and so we know the meter's functioning. Now what I want to do is I want to manually select range, and then we'll measure the 47 ohm resistor. And so to manually select range, you hit the range selector here, And it's in mega ohms right now. It shows you it's in mega ohms. So I hit it, it goes to the next mega ohm setting. I press it again, and now I'm in ohms. It just shows the ohms. And I should be able to pick up the 47 ohm resistor. And I do, and it's 46.6, which we said before. So it picks up that just fine. And now I'll go to the next range. When I press it again, I go to the 6K ohm range. That's 6,000 ohm range. And let's see what happens. And you can see what it did. It moved a decimal point, and now we read, instead of 47, we actually read 0.046. It is a measurement of 47 ohms, but it's showing in the decimal because of the range setting we chose. If I press this again, I know now to go to a higher range, and this one happens to be a 60 kilo ohm range, and you can see what it does again. Now it's pushed it all the way over to 0.05, which is not very helpful for us. And I'll go to the next higher range, take a measurement, and you can see now we've got 0. We're not getting a measurement. We actually are getting a measurement, but it's showing 0 because we pushed the measurement off behind the decimal point too far. We can't really read it. The meter can't display it because we've chosen the wrong range setting. And I'll press the range again. We are now in a mega ohm range setting, and you'll see again, we end up with a whole bunch of zeros. We do have a measurement, but it doesn't display because we have selected the wrong range measurement. We have pushed way beyond the decimal point. We can't see it. And it's going to be the same thing with the final mega ohm range setting. And you can see we get a whole bunch of zeros, so it's not helpful at all. Now I'm going to go to the opposite end, and we're going to go to manual again. And I went to ohms, and we're going to test it to make sure it works. And it does. And we're going to do the 100,000 ohm resistor and see what happens. And you can see we're not getting a measurement because my range selection is too low this time. So it's completely out of range because I can only read up to 600 ohms in this setting. And so it's not getting a measurement. The meter is functioning. We'll go up to the next setting. And this is the 6 kilo ohm range setting. And again, I'm showing OL because the bottom will not reach the bottom on that. The range setting is not sufficient for that. So we can't pick that up yet either. I should say the top. And we'll hit the range again. And now we are in the 60 kilo ohm range. And again, it will not pick it up. It's a pretty high range, but it's not high enough for this because we measured this as 98.8 basically kilo ohms, and so it's not going to pick it up. We'll go one more time. Whoops. And now we are in the 600 kilo ohm range setting, and we pick it up because the range setting is appropriate, and it shows it as 98.7K, which means it's 98,700 ohms. So it picks it up just fine. We go to the next setting, which is the first mega ohm setting. That is 6 mega ohms. And you can see now we're pushing off into the resolution again. Now we're going 0.099 instead of showing anything on the left of the decimal point. You're now on the right side of it, off in the fine resolution, and it's really not that helpful. And you really need to understand what your meter is doing. And finally, the very last mode, we're in the 40 mega ohm range, and now it's just 0.10. So you can see it's critically important you understand what you anticipate reading and that you have the proper range setting to get yourself there. Thanks for watching. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and check out the links we have below. Come back for new videos. We should be adding content each week. And finally, visit the Taking Measure website.